Hello, mate. I'm greeting you as if I didn't get here an hour ago and we've not just spent an hour having a chat.
I was appalled that you tried to instigate me in conversation outside the podcast, but then you said if you've been quite busy today, so I was like, I will give him this at least. The generosity of my time.
Ryan makes it sound as though he doesn't like a chinwag, but he has been saying one last thing and starting extra conversations for 20 minutes.
For about an hour, I'd be like, but the podcast? Like,
anyway. Cue the music.
And welcome back to the Comic Lyric Podcast. I've forgotten to bring my notes up, so let's see if I can remember the intro off by heart. I already don't know where to start. So
hello and welcome back to the Comic Literate Podcast. My name's Jamie and I like regular books, and my co-host Ryan sometimes makes me read comic books.
You've forgotten the most important part, because it's what do we do on the podcast?
We talk.
We comically
and literally
review comic books.
It's the most highbrow and the sweariest podcast on the internet.
Same meanings, but I went with pretentious yet lowbrow.
It's the most pretentious but lowbrow podcast.
Yes.
Although, just recently, do you remember Dan and Phil?
No.
So Dan and Phil were YouTubers from the mid-noughties, and everyone speculated that they were lovers.
Oh, I saw that in the news. I was like, is that news? Like, good for them. It's not news.
Well, the thing is, for many, many years, they'd been quite resistant to people knowing that they were partners, even though they'd been living together for many, many years, right? And then they drop a video where they're like, ooh, we're boyfriends. A week later, they fucking start a podcast and it goes to the top of the charts. And I'm like, did you fuckers just use your relationship to get a podcast to the top of the charts? And also, if I fuck Ryan, well, I'll get there too.
I was literally about to say, what are you going to propose? Anything for clicks.
Anything! I just really want to do this all the time.
Well, it's a good thing you're up for doing anything for the podcast, because this week we are covering one of the most talked about comic books happening right now. And I said that last week when we did DCKO. And the funny thing was, by the time the DCKO episode came out, everyone had already been talking about this week's comic while we were about to release the DCKO one. So basically, in classic Comic Lyra fashion, we are behind the times in terms of talking about
We're a week late.
Exactly. And we will be again with this.
Yeah.
But, you know, you heard the first, now you hear the worst.
Absolutely. Do you know what as well, Ryan? I quite like it.
Well, I'm not surprised you like it, because we are covering, if you haven't read the title, I know I say that every week. I don't know why I say that every week. We're doing the Absolute Batman Annual. Now, we're going to have to get into what an annual is.
Yes.
Explain that first.
Because to be honest with you, I don't fully know what an annual is.
Not many people do.
So they're hardbacks they put out at this time of year, aren't they?
Not even hardback. Annual is literally just once a year, they put out a comic, they call it an annual of a running series, and they basically either get someone else to come in for an annual, for a single issue, essentially, a longer extended issue.
Yeah.
Or it's the same person doing it.
Yeah.
Almost always, it's just an isolated story set within the series. Sometimes it relates to the ongoing story.
Sometimes it doesn't.
Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes the main story won't relate, but then there'll be a bit at the end where it's like, this is how it connects to the main story.
Yeah.
Or now it's going to be something in the future of the main series. I don't know why they do it. Like, beyond the obvious, like, it's the annual, you need to buy it, rhetoric.
We once read an annual, it was For the Man Who Has Everything.
Was that an annual? Like, I don't even remember.
Yes.
Okay.
For the Man Who Has Everything was an annual.
A Superman annual.
A Superman annual written by...
I was about to say late great, and he's not dead.
He's not dead.
But he is in tune with the spirits, I assume.
Yes.
It's Alan Moore.
Yeah. And that kind of tuned me into what an annual can be.
Yeah.
And man, like I've talked a lot of shit about the Absolute
yes, you have.
DC Absolute series. And then I read this and went, fuck, it's kind of good.
But then here's the thing.
Did you like it?
Oh yeah, I enjoyed it. And it's not written by Scott Snyder, who writes the main series. And it's not even the art by, unfortunately I don't have the name to hand, who does the art for the main series. This was written and illustrated by one Daniel Warren Johnson, who we know from doing really good stuff on the Transformers series for Image.
Man, that just makes so much sense.
And he did the lesser known, but equally, if not more amazing, Do a Powerbomb, the pro wrestling comic.
Which we both love.
Yes. And the thing you notice as well is every time Daniel Warren Johnson does stuff like this, because he's writing it and drawing it, he almost always has characters doing wrestling moves. And part of this episode, dear listener and Jamie, is going to be me pointing out the wrestling moves and explaining why they're significant.
You told me about this at a pub quiz I was hosting the other day and I forgot.
Yes.
So should we start with the art? No, credits. Well, Daniel Warren Johnson.
Daniel Warren Johnson. All I'm going to say before we get into the art is this comic has been a bit controversial purely because... And the plot of the comic, if you haven't seen from the title or whatever, it's Batman killing a bunch of white supremacists who are attacking a encampment of presumably refugees.
Yes.
And some people who are a bit closer to the side of the white supremacists were like, I don't like this being portrayed this way, of Batman killing and maiming a bunch of white supremacists and blah, blah, blah.
And if you want to hear Ryan and I's opinion for 20 minutes on that, you can click on a link to an unlisted YouTube video where we have uploaded the 20-minute rant that we both had in its entirety.
Yeah.
Because we are actually just going to talk about this as a comic book.
So,
I think that's more reasonable.
Little bonus material for anyone who wants to hear our unhinged political views.
And it is literally Ryan and I, well, more me, shouting and swearing about killing Nazis for like half an hour.
Yeah.
So be prepared for that. Fucking wild.
It's there if you want it, but we feel like we should take it away from the main episode.
Because like you come here for a comic book podcast.
Yeah.
Not like me being like, oh, Nazis grumble grumble. So the art.
So the art I love.
Dude, it looks so fucking good.
I think
panel to panel, man.
Daniel Warren Johnson, I think, is my favorite artist doing it today. And the fact that he's writing it as well, like, dude, insane.
This is, oh man, this is everything that the Absolute series could have and should have been.
I'd love for him to take over the Absolute series.
Because, so the story is like very basic. There is an obvious good guy, some obvious bad guys. There is this whole conversation between Batman and his dad that happens while he's killing a bunch of Nazis, where his dad is basically saying that he's a good person.
He's having a flashback while killing.
He's having a flashback to his dad telling him that if he's just himself, he'll be okay and that he's a great person. And he looks down at his bloodied hands as he's just flamethrowered a bunch of Nazis. And I'm like, well, that's got something to say, hasn't it?
Yeah.
And so, you know, that's kind of this comic book. It's really simple. It's a bit paint by numbers.
Yeah.
But
it's not a deep story at all.
But it fucking delivers, man.
It's just fun. And a large part of that is the art.
The art looks fantastic.
There are splash pages, which I would put up on the wall.
Yeah.
Again, the highest accolade.
The fight scene is incredible. Batman looks amazing.
And I tell you what, like, you had this complaint about the Absolute Batman in general, right?
Yeah.
And I think this is an art thing. In the normal series, and not to bemoan the person who does the art on the main series, like, it's pretty good. Like,
it's not bad.
Hulking Bane looked interesting and kind of cool. I think we got, I want to say Daniel Warren Johnson everywhere. I think he calls himself...
Is he on YouTube? Is he on YouTube channel?
Daniel Warren Johnson is on YouTube, and every Friday he does a watch me draw kind of thing while he just like talks as well.
Dude, that's cool.
And he calls himself D-Dubs.
D-Dubs.
So that, like we do with Tynan, JT4.
Yeah.
D-Dubs. Just a shorthand.
So yeah, I think D-Dubs has done such a great job of posing Batman here. And you're going to get into this big time, aren't you?
Well, all I was going to say was, in the normal main series art, like you made a point of this, Batman just looks like a hulking, massive person compared to a bunch of normal people.
Yeah.
And it just looks out of place. Here, it's the same proportions from like normal people to Batman, who is like 6'9" and whatever weight.
Yeah.
But he just looks so fucking metal that you don't even worry about it.
He looks so menacing and so potent, and he's doing a thing that I said we got real political for a bit, and I'm trying to tone it down. But when you see a Batman out of costume absolutely smashing in the faces of a bunch of neo-Nazis wearing pig masks.
Which I thought, the tiny little story bit, I thought that was like, oh, that's a metaphor for like police secretly being in these like racist groups or whatever.
Yeah.
And then later the police just turn up and like, oh, hey, you're with us. And I was
They're
like,
openly in
so
the
the pig
groups.
masks were just not, they didn't mean anything.
No, but, a pig, pigs on an anthropomorphic level are a potent symbol thanks to Animal Farm, right?
Yeah.
Like, pigs are wonderful, lovely, gregarious animals, but we see them as something foul, right? Ironically, because, they're not birds.
Pigs aren't birds.
We see them as something foul.
Yeah, no. I was going more the pigs, like, when pigs fly kind of routes. Like, that's where my mind went to immediately.
Nice. See, I'm trying to tone down the political stuff, and I'm just doing damn puns now.
Quoting Orwell.
But yeah.
Not to get too political.
We're not going to get political today, so I'm just going to quote Orwell.
I think we're trying with all our might to not get political again and cut it out of the episode.
But the spectacle of watching an absolute unit of a Batman, not in the bat suit, punching a fucking fascist wearing a pig mask in the face, where his fist is as big as the guy's head. It's just magnificent.
The face is caved in as if he didn't have a skull, which it just suits the style. Like, I don't know if this was like the normal House style. If they did something like this, theoretically would that like give you kind of like what's going on here kind of thing? Like, but here it just works.
Do you know what? I'm going to use a word I very rarely use on this episode.
Wow.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
It is properly beautiful. And it scans beautifully panel to panel. And then Ryan is about to talk. I'm about to give Ryan space ad nauseum talk about something that really matters to him, because D-Dubs wrote a comic book that we both love. And again, I think we talked about this, but it was right in the middle of all the political stuff.
Yeah.
Called Do a Powerbomb,
yes,
which is all about wrestling.
Pro wrestling comic book.
So, Ryan, would you like to talk a bit?
I mean, there's one main bit, right?
I think it's cool. Yeah. I'm not here to take the piss.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not here to complain about you having this.
I will say, looking at this, and as you said earlier, like the fight scenes look so good.
They look so good, man.
I think D-Dubs gets that from drawing wrestling, or like wrestling as an influence. Like,
I think so.
Because pro wrestling is all about like, it's not, nothing would ever be close to real fighting in anything they do. It's for show. It's the same way that this sounds like a weird thing to compare to. It's the same way that porn isn't sex. Porn is for visual.
100%.
And pro wrestling is fighting that's like bang, bang, like that kind of. And
again, I think if you want really great visual reference for a very sort of cinematically friendly or artistically friendly fighting style, looking at pro wrestling is not a bad idea.
Yeah, no, exactly.
And I didn't know the things he was doing with pro wrestling moves. We had a conversation about this at a pub quiz I hosted last week. And you told me that Batman was doing a bunch of pro wrestling moves. And when I was reading this, I still didn't clock it. What I saw was Batman doing a bunch of cool fighting. But you are here to tell us about the specific wrestling stuff he's doing. And again, I'm not a wrestling guy. I think this is cool.
So the one I'm going to mention, because there's other little ones that I might have missed.
Yeah.
Genuinely, because I was enjoying it so much that I wasn't using that analytical brain to like remember things. But this one like spoke out. I saw this beforehand as well, but enjoyed it even more when I was reading it properly. Basically, Batman picks up a member of the police that are working with the white supremacists, lifts him up, and does a move called, and he does this in Do a Powerbomb as well, the One-Winged Angel.
Yeah.
One-Winged Angel is the finisher move by a pro wrestler who is known as one of, if not the greatest pro wrestler of his generation, maybe of all time, a man called Kenny Omega. And the One-Winged Angel is such a great move because it's the most protected wrestling move in possibly ever. Protected meaning that in his entire career, his decade-spanning career as a pro wrestler, only one wrestler's ever, what they call, kicked out of it. So that's having it hit and not being pinned for the 3 count.
Yeah.
So it's an iconic move in wrestling. Danny Warren Johnson, D-Dubs, is obviously a big fan of it because in the end of, spoilers for Do a Powerbomb, read it if you haven't.
It's like 5 years old or something.
Yeah. He has the character God That's a pro wrestler doing a double one-winged angel, which is physically impossible. Like, no one can do it.
A double one-winged angel is actually just a two-winged angel, isn't it?
Yeah, in a sense, but it's semantics. But yeah, so he has Batman doing this to a police officer, and this is basically what happens if it goes wrong. Like, what is happening to the police officer, like the way his neck is crumpling, that's what happens if you did this move wrong to someone. Like, how dangerous pro wrestling is generally. But the DW's sneaking them all in. He had buddy Optimus Prime doing German suplexes to other Transformers.
He did.
It's so great.
And I think it's cool. And again, I think it's a nice little sort of Easter egg if you're into pro wrestling. And I imagine there would be a certain amount of crossover between the pro wrestling crowd and the comic book crowd.
100%. Superheroes especially.
I also think, based on what I've seen of the audience of old WWE, there's probably a lot of crossover between the wrestling crowd and the white supremacists as well, if we're being honest.
I mean, what is pro wrestling if not redneck ballet?
Well, this is it, isn't it? It's redneck ballet.
Yeah.
But I honestly think on a very functional level that because those pro wrestling moves have been designed not to be effective but to look impressive, they are the ideal fodder for comic book fights.
Yeah.
I think there's something about the way that D-Dubs posed his characters fighting and do a powerbomb, and the robots in Transformers, and now this, where it's like, has he hit upon something that other comic book writers are just yet to get wise to?
Yeah. I think for me, he has become a must-read writer-artist.
He writes some of the best action comics, man. He writes some of the best action comics.
The Transformers series, to an extent, do a powerbomb, but like I was already going to love it anyway. But the Transformers one, I remember I was like, I don't give a shit about this franchise at all, and I really enjoyed it.
2023, man.
Yeah.
Like, it was comic of the year, bro.
So I don't want to.
Where did that fucking come from?
Yeah.
Where did a Transformers cash-in end up being the comic of the year?
And do you know who's taken over that? Now, what Daniel Warren Johnson has stopped doing Transformers?
Go on.
Writing, I don't know about art, but the writing, it's Robert Kirkman. Fuck
me.
I remember like one of the best runs of like, and I keep looking at like stuff that's happening in the Transformers series. I'm like, I should read that. Like, I really should get to. But again, I've never had any inclination to Transformers ever, really. No. I've saw some of the films, and just to be honest, if anything, that probably put me off it, if anything.
Yeah, I mean, the films that I watched from the Transformers series were the old animated ones.
Oh, they're apparently, well, I don't know if they're good or not the standards of, but by the standards of I know they killed a bunch of characters in it.
Yeah.
And they brought in a bunch of new ones, and literally the reason was to make more toys to sell.
Yes.
So I don't know if that affects how the fan base thinks of it or not.
I watched
what's his name? The guy who did the bad guy's voice. Really a known actor.
Really famous actor, yeah.
Big fat guy.
Yeah.
Who am I thinking of?
I can't remember his name, but I know who you mean, and he's exceptionally famous.
Yeah, goddamn. I'm gonna have to look that up. You say something, I'll look it up.
But yeah, I think there's something to be said for the way he poses characters. I think there's something to be said for the way that he structures his fight scenes. And again, this doesn't have like a particularly high level of depth. But what is there, I think, is really compelling. And I'm going to start talking about the comic now while you're just kind of doing things. Because essentially the story is that...
I say one more thing about the tiniest thing to credit D-Dubs.
I had a flow. I was right in the middle of the flow.
I was going to say the sound effects are really good. Like, the written sound effects are pretty amazing.
You've entirely interrupted. I was about to
while you thought you were having this time and space to be able to do it.
I was developing a thought. I was creating an argument. I was segueing us out of the art into the content, and you just completely interrupted me to be like, boom, pow.
And also, Orson Welles.
Orson Welles.
Orson Welles.
Right, can I continue what the fuck I was doing?
Yeah, return to your flow.
So what is there isn't that substantive.
Yes, it's not. I was not like, what's going to happen next? Yeah.
It's a relatively simple story. Batman is buying some ammunition from somebody out of town. He gets in wrong with the crowd. Turns out the person he's buying his weapons from, like his sandbags and his rubber bullets and stuff, is a white supremacist who's in with the police in this local area, kind of out of the city. He finds out they are going to go and do harm upon a bunch of, we can only assume, refugees in an encampment.
Refugees or homeless or both.
Yeah.
Or close.
But there is an encampment full of less fortunate human beings
Yeah.
that they are going to go do harm with. We then see the police arrive and they're like, oh, Powell, you can't be doing this. And then they all laugh together with the white supremacists because the police are joining in. Batman beats the ever-loving shit out of them and then pulls out a flamethrower.
I think he chases them back to, or
chases them back to a barn.
To their HQ.
Yeah.
And it's like an old barn that's converted into like with a pedestal, and someone can give speeches with a red flag with a white and a symbol in the middle.
Yeah.
Not the symbol you're thinking of, but it's pretty similar.
Well, I mean, to be honest with you, it's almost a more potent symbol of Nazism. It's the eagle.
Yeah.
And again, I think the eagle is a really interesting symbol to use if you're painting a bunch of Americans as Nazis, because it's like, it is a symbol that the Nazis used, but it's also a very potent symbol of America.
The bald eagle specifically, I think. So I don't know if it's a different eagle, if it's still American or not.
Yeah. But then when you see a red flag with a white eagle in the middle of it, you're like, even though that's not a fucking swastika, them's be Nazis.
Yeah.
Right? Like, they've done a good job of Nazi coding these white supremacists. Anyway, he chases them back and he goes, their hideout's pretty flammable. Turns out I've got the bat flamethrower.
But before that, he drives the truck that's as big as a house, which is basically his Batmobile, but it is a construction truck. But that crashing through the wall as a splash pad was amazing as well.
It was incredible. And then he tortures them all. He burns them all alive.
Yeah. And this is the thing, like, this Absolute Batman, I like how dangerous and, like, he's maiming people, and he's there's a bit earlier which I think perfectly describes Absolute Batman in contrast to main Earth 1 Batman. Because the guy he's talking to, he's getting all the guns and rubber bullets and stuff, and Absolute Batman says, and this is non-lethal, and the guy selling them says less lethal, which is a very clear distinction in real life, like riot control stuff. It's like barely anything is non-lethal, less lethal.
And he says,
and so Earth 1 Batman would not touch anything that's less than completely non-lethal, right?
Yeah.
But this Batman, he's like, I'm gonna try and not kill people, but people might die.
But if I do happen to burn some Nazis to death, that's okay.
But even just how he handles like criminals in general, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying you should go out and kill criminals or advocating the death penalty or any of that bollocks. What I'm saying is distinguishing this character from the main one is he is a darker Batman.
Yeah.
It's a darker universe. The Absolute universe was started by Darkseid, but here's the thing: in the Absolute series, there was a bit where what's his name? He's fighting a bunch of the gang that's like kicking off in Gotham, whatever.
Yeah.
And Alfred, that version, he's like MI5 Alfred or MI6 Alfred, whatever. He's reporting like what he's seeing this Batman doing, and he's like, it's amazing. He's causing injuries, but he's not killing any of them at all.
Yeah.
Like it's like precision, like how he's not killing any of them. I'm like, you could have just taken that out and just been like, he tries not to kill people. But some will do, you know. He doesn't have a hard and fast rule.
Ultimately, I think even in this Absolute series, in the main series, even though it's not a main series, it's it's a spin-off, it's its own thing, they still have to make it very clear that like Batman doesn't kill people. What they were able to do in this annual, because they were stepping away from the main Absolute series a little bit, is turn this into what it always should have been.
Yes.
Which is a Batman that's darker in the ways we want them to be. Like, Batman should and could be an anti-hero. And of course, we don't condone of burning a barn full of people alive. Of course we don't condone of that. When they're Nazis, maybe more we want to see Batman do it, right?
Not to get political, not to get too political.
We've tried real hard. We went so hard on the politics, and I'm like, it just isn't fun. But also, who doesn't like seeing Nazis die? Like, it's not just that they're shitty people with shitty opinions. It's that they are murderous cunts.
Yeah, they are actively assaulting and murdering people in this.
Yeah.
And we've established Absolute Batman, that's who he goes after. And the level of violence he inflicts on the people who are inflicting violence on other people, that's what I'm talking about here. Of like, mainline Batman is like, I'll stop it, I'll restrain them, and I might break their bones, but I can guarantee no one will die.
Yeah.
Which is just like that's like a fantastical thing in itself, right? This, I wouldn't mind if this Absolute Batman was like, again, I'm not actively trying to kill anyone. I got the rubber bullets. Like, I ain't got normal bullets and stuff. But also, if I punch you and you die, like, if you were just trying to kill other people, I don't mind it.
Statistically speaking, if you punch enough people as hard as you can in the face, some of them are going to die.
Yeah. There's a great Chip Zdarsky Daredevil run from a few years ago where the plot of the story of the run was Daredevil accidentally killed someone.
Yeah.
And I was waiting for this, like, oh, it's going to be revealed that it's the Kingpin and he set him up, or it's the Hand and it's magic, and they were dead already and they were a zombie or something.
Did just accidentally kill
and then
someone.
it deals with him reconciling with he doesn't want to be Daredevil anymore because he's crossed the line in his view, even though it's completely by accident. But then he's reconciling like, but I help people as Daredevil, and how can I justify this? And it's really good stuff.
And I think this. In talking about this, it's made me wrestle with I think something that's a fundamental question that you have to kind of answer as a member of a society, which is that wherever you stand on the political scale, there are people whose actions you are going to find abhorrent.
Yeah.
Now, if you sit on the far right of politics, those people are people who are bringing their families to a safer country than the one they live in so that they can continue to live. And if you think that's abhorrent, you're a However, there are people who think that that's abhorrent, clearly. Based on what is going on in the world politically right now, particularly the UK, people think that fleeing a war-torn country and coming to England is an abhorrent action, right? And I think that being a Nazi is abhorrent. And you have to reconcile with what you think is an acceptable punishment for people who do abhorrent things. Fascists think it's okay to beat up and hurt minorities because they've come to my country for safety. Oh, they're such a bastard.
To play devil's advocate, they think they're draining the resource of the country. I don't agree with that.
I don't think they do. I don't think that's what they think. I think
are we going down that road again? We're going to have to cut out the last section of the podcast.
We're going to go a little bit where I just say...
There's no little bit. You know full well there's no little bit.
No, because it means that it's really important and it means a lot to me. But the point is... You have to you as a human being, I think you have to at a certain point say, if somebody is going to, in a racially motivated action, do harm a bunch of people who are way more vulnerable than them.
Which these characters are explicitly giving white power chance and whatnot.
Yeah, which is exactly what these people are doing. What do I think is a fair and reasonable punishment? And some people are going to say death. I disagree with you. However... if there is one group of people, I think maybe I can kind of see why some people would want to justify the death penalty. It is fucking Nazis. Do you know what I mean? Like, it is.
But then we also had the Nuremberg trials for a reason, didn't we?
And this is the thing.
Yeah.
We didn't just kill all the Nazis all in one go. We gave them... I don't know that the Nuremberg trials were the fairest trials, but they were trials.
Yeah, they happened.
And this is the point, I think... Because this Batman is clearly a power fantasy, right? Like, I think
to a degree, all superheroes are.
Well, yeah, and they are, aren't they? And I think a lot of like reasonable people who sit kind of on the left of politics see what is happening in the world at the moment, and they see this kind of uptick in the far right, and secretly at the back of their mind, they go, "I wish I could just walk up to this protest of right-wing idiots." Drowned in the cross of St. George and punch all of them in the face real hard.
Yeah.
Right? And this is nice to see a power fantasy.
It's cathartic for people who feel that way. And
yeah,
that's
totally.
Kind of what fiction does. Like,
I mean, I think that's what superhero fiction can do. And I think it's okay because again, you know, we touched on this and I think we should probably leave that bit in the episode where you talk about the argument that reasonable and rational sort of people whose opinions sit just to the right of the centre in politics think that when the left get angry at Nazis because the argument is that people on the left overuse the term Nazi and we've diluted it so it means nothing, right?
Yeah, or in the sense that if we call everyone Nazi and then someone will say something like, someone hypothetically will say, I think it's fine to kill a Nazi. Like, if they say that, if they've heard people on the same side or who they perceive to be on the same side saying like, anyone who voted for Donald Trump is a Nazi. It's like, well, then you're talking about literally half of the entire country.
Yeah.
They conflate those two statements coming from the same people. That's the problem.
I get it.
Yeah.
I kind of get it. And
this is the problem. Both sides conflate the more reasonable parts and the more extreme parts of right and left, and viewing them as coming from one mind.
I don't know, because I think it's really interesting. Because if you accuse me of being a communist, I'd be like, yeah,
but we're on the far left, not the extremist left. But we're on the economic far left.
It's like if you accused me of being a communist, I'd be like, never been very well enacted, but I get it.
Yeah.
Like, I like the ideology. I just don't think it's ever been enacted very well.
But to what you're saying about it being cathartic, like that is what, and I'm just gonna bring up now that, like, again, the guy's literally saying about pure power. He's about to say white power. He's got the look of a demon on him. And then Batman's first interaction with them is breaking the guy's elbow in half.
Bear in mind, the guy is throwing up a Roman salute as he does it.
Yeah, exactly.
He's mid-Roman salute, and Batman absolutely fucking takes his arm off.
The reason I had to mention earlier, the sound effects.
Crap.
Because it's not even like, it's not like in there to try and be like, look, it says crack. Like, it's partially obscured and stuff, and you can barely read it. But you can work out what it says.
Yeah, no,
it's more artistic it's more visually artistic, and it gets the sound effect across as well.
It's, again, in a word, it is masterful.
And the veins on Batman's arm as he's pushing the elbow through, like...
It's masterful.
It
is truly masterful, and I think it is some of the most interesting art I've ever seen come out of DC.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they managed to get D-dubs. Like, that's what it comes... It's not like DC's art or Marvel's art. It's like, if you get D-dubs, you're getting a great fucking comic book out.
Yeah, totally. And, like, the story is simple but powerful, and the art is sort of grim and dark but beautiful. I think it's like the perfect sushi roll.
That is one way to describe it, yeah.
You know, like, you eat it and it's delicious, but it's not too delicious because it's clean and fresh. And because there's a lot of rice in there, it sort of fills you up, but it doesn't leave you uncomfortable.
It's like, the best version of a simple thing. And it's not to say what he does is simple. I think ultimately the comic book, again, as we said, it's not a particularly deep story or anything, but it's the highest version of, like, great art and just exciting story.
I think to say it's simple is not an insult to it. I think to say that this is simple, it's like, it's simple in the way a French onion soup is simple.
Yeah.
It's delightfully simple.
Or a great pizza.
Or just a really well-baked, crusty loaf of bread with a bit of butter.
Or sometimes when it's late at night and you know you've got a bag of shredded cheese in your fridge and you just grab a handful and just like put it in your mouth. Like, that's not complex at all.
That is not gourmet, but
amazing.
it's fucking incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's perfect. It perfectly satiated my urge for something to read.
Yeah.
I spent an exceptionally pleasant half an hour with it. And ultimately, you get to see somebody throwing up a Nazi salute, get their arm broken in two, and that is satisfying.
And to come back to the story a little bit, and I think this is the only other thing I want to say about the story of this. Yeah. Also, by the way, this annual has a whole nother story, like second
which
half,
we just didn't even bother to really talk about.
I mean, I read it and I was like, yeah, it's. I wouldn't want, if I was a comic book writer or artist, I wouldn't want my stuff on a double bill with a D-Dubs story, by comparison. To put it that way, I'll mention it a little bit. But in the story, in this D-Dub story, he does have the priest character who is helping the people in the encampment earlier and trying to defend them from the white supremacist, white power people. And then later, while Batman is beating the ever-loving shit out of this main guy whose elbow is just snapped in half and just going to town on his face, and he's probably going to kill him if he doesn't stop, the priest comes in and saves this guy from Batman as well.
He does.
And and there's some quite clever like reference callbacks and kind of language to the priest says, I'm fit, do things how I need to do things, and like, I know this won't fix it, but I know you killing him isn't going to make it better. Yeah. Like that whole thing. And I like that, again, this could have just been, like we said, this just could have been Nazis getting fucking killed. Yeah. Look how awesome it is. Like, that could have been that. But he still puts in the other character who's trying to hold the peace from both sides and is trying to,
and this
do the right
priest
thing.
Earlier on had tried to intercede. He'd interceded when the lads in the pig mask turn up because he recognized one of them and he said, "Come on, I know you."
Yeah, I've known you since you were a kid. Yeah,
and the kid pulled the mask off and was about to have a moment of contrition until Batman's giant fist appeared in his face. There's also the kind of very end of the passage where Batman has a flashback to his dad.
I think that's my one criticism of this whole comic.
Oh, so I thought it was a little bit heavy-handed. Let me describe it to you.
Go ahead.
He has a flashback to his dad, and he's talking to his dad, who clearly was like a protester or something.
His dad's like reading the newspaper and like extremists bomb a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he, it was a young Bruce Wayne telling his dad how cool he was when he was younger. And his dad said, well, no, I know that you have a good heart, and if you stay true to yourself, you'll do a lot of good in life. And that is intersposed with Batman looking down at his bloody hands as he's just nearly murdered a bunch of fascists. And that's really heavy-handed. It's really heavy-handed.
I mean, the most heavy-handed, the criticism I was going to make, I mean, I agree with you there. For me, it's the fact of he sees a photo in the priest's office earlier, and he's like, oh, you used to protest and stuff as well, or whatever. And then the reveal at the end is that Bruce's dad is in the photo, so he knew the priest. And obviously, again, like him, I thought it was just unnecessary. Like, I think it just didn't add anything except a little bit of contrivance of like, what are the odds that Batman would run into the priest in this town who used to know his dad?
Yeah.
Like that whole stuff. I think it just, I think it was, if we're talking about like perfect meals or stuff, it's like adding another thing that doesn't add much additional flavor. It just takes up space. And you could have enjoyed it just as much without it. Like, it's that kind of thing for me. I don't know what I would put that in culinary terms.
It's the fries beside a cheeseburger.
No, fries are awesome.
Mate, I'm not a fan.
It's a garnish. It's like a lettuce garnish. That's like, this meal didn't need it. Like, that's purely for aesthetic, but I don't care about that. I'm eating this.
You a big fries guy?
I mean, we would literally talk earlier about some, like, beef fat fries that I really enjoyed.
The thing for me is, I've been eating really, really clean for a few months now.
You don't say.
And I could go for a cheeseburger at some point, but I don't think the fries are good enough for me that they warrant being there. I would rather just have 2 cheeseburgers.
That's a fair stance. That's a fair stance. Like, yeah, I'm not going to get into pasta. Not to get political about cheeseburgers and fries. But also,
man, I want a cheeseburger.
The splash page of the building-sized truck crashing through the wall of the barn is just amazing.
Fucking awesome, man.
But yeah, so I think without, again, picking... There's some other little bits in here, but I think we've covered the big strokes of the entire story. And again, there's an entire another story called Sanctuary.
Which I had a look at too, and it was okay.
Yeah, it's like some people break into a house. The art's kind of interesting. Like, it's something... Again, comparing it to... like something that was pretty awesome to start with. Again, I feel bad for this second story.
Yeah, I just think, like, even though they're a double bill in the same comic book, this doesn't warrant a full conversation here. It's fine.
I think if I was just like a normal person, like buying comics, like reading them rather than talking about them on a podcast, I think I'd be so satiated by the D-Dub story that I think I would just look at this as a bonus.
Yeah.
I'd just be like, oh, it's some extra stuff. Like, I was happy just to leave it at the first story, but I'll take a second story.
I paid my money and I got what I got, and what I got was good, right? I think this D-Dub story is really, for me, symptomatic of everything that's wrong with the big two at the moment, which is that because the Absolute Batman series has still had to adhere to the conventions of a Batman story, and there's certain things they've had to do and certain appearances you have to keep up for the character, i.e. the non-lethality of his methods and all of that stuff. It gets in the way of them doing something really good with it. And then when they really, really are like at a point where it's like, we're not in a main series anymore, we're not even in the main line of this off mainline series, we're in an annual, it's half of an annual, we've given it to a really great writer, just let them do what the fuck they want, and then you get a goal. You get gold, right? And I think that is really symptomatic with what's wrong with comic books that come out of the big two at the moment, is that they're kind of almost too big to fail, particularly the ones with big names in them.
Yeah, I was going to kind of make that point of like refining your criticism to the biggest names.
Yeah.
Because as I've said before, there is a common thread, there's a common recurring theme of really good writers who
get a shit character.
Well, not even though they do other stuff. They do really good stuff in either lesser known characters or just non-superhero comics, and they make a name through that, and then they get the big name, which the prime example for this thing I'm saying.
Batman or Superman or Spider-Man.
Well, it's mainly Batman. I mean,
Yeah.
Spider-Man to an extent as well. But it's Batman. And there's been countless times of a writer getting on a Batman series and everyone's like, I don't really like this. And they're like, but this is a really good writer. Like, and even like as readers, we're like, oh, how is this not good?
What's
like,
wrong?
what's going on? And apparently you hear, Tom King, I think, mentioned this, like when he was on the Batman series, the amount of input from DC as a publisher, and Marvel obviously do this as well with Spider-Man.
Yeah.
It gets to a point where it's like, I can't really make it as good as I want to make it because they're making me do a lot of other stuff.
Yeah.
And that's a thing in just, art media in general is like, let's get this person who's really renowned for doing really good stuff. And then when they get them in, it's like, we just have a few notes for like, they got successful doing stuff without your notes.
Yes.
And now you're trying to stifle like what they make.
100%. And I think, 100%. And it's these moments where somebody gets left to their own devices with a bit of Batman. I mean, fucking Tom King and Elmer Fudd, man.
Yeah.
Tom King and
some
the
of the best
Batman.
Batman.
The Elmer Fudd crossover was great Batman because he was just sort of left to his own devices.
Yeah, and I think like talking about the main absolute Batman series, which I will timecode as a separate part as well because I've got one thing to say about
It's
that.
not even that awful.
No, and this is the thing. Scott Snyder is writing the main series, and he's doing. I think he's doing the DCKO thing as well. I think I said. I might be wrong about that, and I can't be asked to look up right now.
He is doing it. Yeah.
He is good at doing surface level gimmicky stuff that gets shared around and builds a buzz or whatever. Story wise, and I've got a complaint about his absolute Batman mainline series because I got up to date on that recently. When it comes to the actual granular like story stuff, it just doesn't hold up to scrutiny at all.
Well, what's your complaint?
So I got up to date on absolute Batman. And
I had a leaf through it as well.
Yeah. One of the things that we all the fans and everyone reading was waiting for, if you were following along with it, was what's going to happen with Batman's friends who we know who are probably almost certainly all going to become the villains that they are in the mainline series, right?
Because they're all of the people that became these villains.
Exactly. And the first one that happens in it is Waylon Jones becomes Killer Croc, right?
Yeah.
He gets kidnapped by this Ark M place where they are making people into monsters. Like that's what they're doing. And they make him into a crocodile man. And it's like, all right, that's a bit contrived. Like, I wasn't really expecting much better anyway. So fair enough. Like that's how that happened to him. Fine. Right. Then while Bruce Wayne was caught in this silly, Bane goes out kind of doing his own Batman thing.
Yeah.
But he finds Bruce's friends and you're like, and it's like end of the issue. You're like, what's going to happen or whatever. Next issue, Bruce has escaped. He gets a call. He goes to the hospital. And his friends have basically each been somewhat fucked up by this Bane character, right?
Yeah.
And then it gets into like, what happened to Oswald Cobblepot, Ozzy Cobblepot or whatever. And it's like, Bane, he broke every bone in his body. I don't think he's going to look right after this. He's actually going to be 2 feet shorter than he was. And he's getting kind of hunched over and like, oh shit, he broke him into the Penguin. What are the odds?
He disassembled him and put him back together as the Penguin.
But what about my other good friend, Harvey Dent? What happened to him?
Oh, did he burn half of his face?
He crushed his skull to the point where a crack down the very middle of his face developed and then held him down in a flammable liquid and set it on fire.
And do you remember when we first read it?
Not one more. I've got one more.
Yeah, go on then.
And then what about his friend, old Edward Nigma? What happened to him? And he's like, Bane, he actually didn't do anything initially. He actually posed him a question of sorts. So another could refer to as a riddle of some kind. And it completely bamboozled Edward Nigma, who's normally so smart and proud of his smarts. And because he got it wrong, the question or riddle, as some might refer to it, he, I think, poked out his eyes or something, which admittedly is not very Riddler thing, but it does mean that he's now wearing a device on his head that's like compensating for his lack of eyes, and he looks a lot more like a Riddler character in the absolute universe. But basically, they were like, how is his friends going to become the villains or whatever? It's like, oh, Bane just fucks them up into them in one issue.
But do you remember?
Like, we don't,
But do you remember when we read those first couple of issues and we saw the card game?
Yeah.
And it was all the people that would become the villains and we went, oh, this is going to be sick. They're all going to get their own storylines, and it's going to be this long drawn out thing where they all become the villains. And then what we get is, Bane off screen.
I mean, we see it flashback, but yeah.
Yeah, but basically, in a single panel at a time, he fucks up all of Batman's friends, and now they're all of his rogues gallery. And it's like, that's shitty.
Yeah.
That's lame.
Yeah, it's just contrived and lazy. And that's what I mean by, as a criticism of Scott Snyder and his work as I've seen it more recently. I can't speak to everything in the past, but the stuff he's doing right now, again, it's flashy and it's shareable and memeable and talk about and stuff. But
which is what DC want from him.
But when you actually read it issue to issue, it's like I expected, you got me excited for it.
Yeah.
And now I'm reading it page to page. I'm like, oh,
no,
okay.
fully. We both got excited about it, didn't we?
And also, the criticism of yours when we last read it was when Bruce and Selena were like shagging on a bed of money.
Yeah.
Like, where's the money come from? They did answer that actually in a later
Where
issue.
did the money come from?
She stole it from a mob boss, and then they used it to place a bet with that same mob boss on Wayland to win or throw a boxing match. Or win it. I can't remember.
Right.
I can't remember specifically. But yeah, they did come back to it.
Cool.
So at least he's doing some, he's setting up some stuff. But well. And
I'm just, again, it's one of those things where, do I want to see a really hench Batman with a new set of toys, not being rich Bruce Wayne, getting in there with fucking Gotham crime and doing some shit? I do. Do I like the way it's been presented to me in the Absolute Batman series? Not particularly.
It's the execution.
It's all about the execution. It was such a strong core concept, and there were moments in those first issues that were fucking sick.
Yeah.
That first fight scene in the Absolute Batman series, stellar.
The Black Mask like family from that first one, like what I don't think we got to, I can't remember, but one of them was like a kid, like still is evil. They're all evil, however. And the Batman's on a boat, finds the kid, and just punts him into the water.
Yeah.
Like that was shared. And I was like, that is great. That deserves to be
That's
shared.
fantastic.
But just to credit the Absolute Universe, I also caught up on Absolute Wonder Woman, and that has been really good.
Has it?
Genuinely really good, not flashy and over the top, like kind of bit by bit, good story.
It though, didn't we?
Yeah, written by Kelly Thompson. So she did like that Poison Ivy series and Birds of Prey, and she's done.
She's written some good shit recently, yeah.
Yeah.
I just, man, the Absolute Batman stories was the absolute, and again, isn't the Absolute Batman series like a fan favorite among comic book nerds
well,
at the moment?
financially, it's doing really well. It's like doing numbers, yeah.
Don't understand.
Because again, the stuff that appeals, I mean, Batman always does well. Like number one rule thrower.
Batman does always do
But with
well.
this as well, like, it is like, look, check out Absolute Mr. Freeze. He's a monster. Like, it's that, basically. Like,
I just think, right, Ryan?
Not to get political.
But comic books, right? Comic book fans will consume almost anything.
Are you talking about comic book fans or superhero comic book fans?
Superhero comic book fans will consume garbage in great quantities.
I mean, there's a lot of garbage.
Why are none of them listening to our podcast? We make so much garbage that you can consume. Why are you not listening to it?
I mean, there's a lot of garbage that also doesn't do well, to be fair. It's because we don't do Batman all the time. Like,
if we do Batman all the time, will you listen to it?
I mean, SEO would be a lot kinder to it.
It probably would be, wouldn't it? Yeah.
So it's up to you. When you come back from your little holiday that you're having in a
My
bit.
little holiday?
When you come back from that,
having a child.
It'll be a Batman exclusive podcast, right?
Oh,
and we'll read all the Batman.
God, imagine.
And we'll be experts at Batman, like from all the different iterations of different writings and stuff.
I just listened to the Lucky Devils episode. Fucking great stuff.
And that did all right numbers wise. So I think Devils like close to Halloween, maybe that gave it a little boost. But that did all right. So,
but this is still going to do better.
This will do better. Yeah.
Like, it's so unfortunate, isn't it? Because like, there's so much cool and interesting shit we could be talking about. Although I must admit, because when we first started this, I was really down on superhero comics in general. And I think through the process of making a podcast about comic books for like 3 years we've been doing this now?
Coming up to, yeah.
I have a soft place in my heart.
Yeah, because they're just fun, campy characters.
I do. And to be honest with you, when they're done well, it really does verge on the sublime.
Yeah.
It really does. Like, there is so much that can be done with that medium when it's done well.
There's something to be said as well for characters that get written and drawn by so many different people over years and decades, you see like these common, like it's the modern day Greek mythology, like people creating new stories about the same characters.
But not only that, I think because we've now had Batman for nearly 100 years, it'll be hopefully we will still be making this when it turns 100, because it's the late 1930s,
mid 30s, I think, like 33 and 34 were like
only a few
Superman
years
and
away.
Batman. Yeah,
it's only a few years away.
There should be some big stuff, but then again, the biggest stuff of it will be like it'll be Scott Snyder. Like, let's get Scott Snyder in for it because he's done well with Absolute Batman and
I think
DCKO. Like,
what's really interesting to me about the superhero stuff, and it's what. So when you read Batman, or we've done a lot of Spider-Man from different eras, weirdly for some reason. When you do a dip test and you're like, here's some from the 50s, here's some from the 60s, here's from the 70s, 80s, 90s, and this decade or whatever, you get a real sense of what was happening at the time.
Yeah, but and then here's the problem, right? Like, you don't know. Like, I can tell you right now from like the comics that come out this year, I can tell you which comics are part of the modern time, like the going rate of like the writing and the art, like the norm of this era, and I can point you to a Daniel Warren Johnson Batman, Absolute Batman annual,
which is fucking great.
Yeah. So imagine, again, you call like a dip test. Imagine being like, oh, what were comics like in the year 2025? And you pull out Daniel Warren Johnson, anything, and you're like, oh, they were awesome. No, they weren't. Like, you found a diamond in the rough. And admittedly, the stuff we look back at in decades prior normally are like the diamonds in the roughs, like a Born Again Daredevil or a Craven's Last Hunt or
Craven's Last Hunt, man.
That was good though.
It comes up so often.
It was
like,
peak 80s.
I've gone through about
that was a real, like, this is the 80s.
Yeah.
Like,
I've gone through so many different sort of opinions on that comic book in my head as we've talked about it, because it comes up almost weekly. At some point, I think we've mentioned
Spider-Man's in a black suit now. Like, that's what
we've mentioned Craven's Last Hunt almost as many times as we've mentioned Alan Moore on this podcast.
It's coming. I mean, Alan Moore got a head start, but it might catch up one day.
Alan Moore has been a character on this podcast literally since day one.
I think he is one of the few that I'd be like, if we had an opportunity, somehow, if some fucking weird contrivance of events was like, you could have Alan Moore on the podcast, I'd be like, fuck, we have to. Like,
well, hasn't that been our mission statement for 3 years?
Well, we'd
now,
have to end the podcast. Like, we can't. What do we do after that?
You can, where do you go as a comic book podcast? Where do you even go from having? If we had Alan Moore on, what would the topic be?
I think just going through all his works. Like, I was like, what were you thinking when you did this? Or, like,
I think. Do you know what? I think honestly, we are even-handed enough, and we kind of have a mature enough understanding of comics that we could probably have a conversation with Alan Moore about his work in a way that wouldn't make him think we're man-children.
I don't know. I think I'd say some shit. I think I would definitely say some shit.
I mean, I must admit, if I did meet Alan Moore, I would really struggle not to bring my copy of Watchmen for him to sign.
You know what I would do? No, this would be really roundabout. I would try and make, and somehow print off and make, or in a really elaborate way, get a copy of basically it's the Simpsons joke when he did the voice for Watchmen babies, and just get that. It's like, I really loved your Simpsons.
I really loved your Simpsons cameo.
Yeah.
I honestly think if I had the opportunity to get Alan Moore to sign anything, it would be, honestly, and I know this sounds mental, but
the man who has everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, well, it's his fondest memories of, at least for like something that was adapted later.
Yeah.
So, it'd be worth it.
It would be my copy of Watchmen and my copy of For the Man Who Has Everything.
I and we both still need to read Swamp Thing, because that's one of his seminal works.
And it comes up all the time on the podcast.
Yes.
We reference it constantly.
We were going to do it for Halloween, and then it just didn't work out that way.
It just didn't work out that way.
So one day.
I mean, should we make that like one of the things that we do when I first come back?
You said you wanted some easier reading when you come in.
Did,
That's going to be like Batman schlop. Like this is the Batman story that's happening right now.
I'm not going to be recording for a couple months. Like, I think there's actually going to be a bit of time where it's like, I'm rusty.
Yeah, no, exactly. So you need something simple and easy by the numbers. So So Batman, Spider-Man, Superman schlock. Because
it is interesting, like how, man. I mean, this is getting maybe a bit navel-gazy about it all.
Us
on this podcast. But there is a certain degree of like, people think that podcasting is easy, right? But you do.
Are you about to have a, look, I know teachers and nurses and stuff, but podcasting?
No. Like, I'm not suggesting it's any easier or any harder than any real profession.
For the listeners who are wondering, I had to cut out a massive tirade that Jamie had against nurses and teachers and stuff because he said they don't know real work like podcasting. So
that's so obviously not true.
I just want everyone to know I had to edit that out. a 50 minutes.
It's 3:00 in the morning now.
He was like, and they get 6 weeks off at summer. That was a quote.
But no, right? People, I think, because every dickhead has a podcast now, right? People think that it's quite easy and you just turn on 2 microphones and just chat shit until you get something. But
That's kind of what we did, though.
It's what we did. I think now we actually approach this with quite a lot of structure and quite a lot of purpose. And like, I'm not saying it's super hard work. What I'm saying is it's a muscle that you learn to flex, right? Being able to do this. And I am very conscious that over a couple months of not doing it, I'm going to get rusty and I'm going to be a bad podcaster again for a bit.
I'll carry you back to where it is. You watch me doing it, then you'll get back to the same level.
Right. So I just soak
observe
up
the master, and then by osmosis,
I just soak up the professionalism from you.
Exactly. And I think being the professional one, I think this is a good place to end the episode.
I think, yeah. I mean, to be honest with you, you and I had a really lovely hour-long conversation before we started, and it was nice to just end this episode with a bit of a chat.
I mean, you know? from the perspective of the listeners, if you've listened this far, we value you as a listener. You obviously have amazing taste in podcasts. And any help you give us at all, share it, give it a review, like if you can. We very much appreciate it, is where I was going. Well, I knew I was going the entire time when I was talking.
So every one of these we do now could be the last one I do before paternity leave.
Yeah, it's a real knife's edge now.
And on a weekly basis as well. Like, we are 2 weeks out from the due date. So there is kind of one more planned recording before my partner's due date.
Yep. I mean, the week after that is going to be the fun one where it's like, should we record an episode?
No, I don't know. The thing is, right, the sooner before my baby gets here that we start just putting out banked episodes, the less time I get on, but so we have to just keep going.
Yeah. And the one thing we said as well is if it does come to we are recording and you get the call and have to rush out,
we're going to put it out.
I said if it's more than 15 minutes... I will finish we'll put it out and I will finish the episode by myself. If it's less than 15, I think we'll just scrap it.
Well, I think if it happens while we're recording, you just put it out as a 15-minute episode, and at the end of it, like, the audience don't necessarily look at how long they are before they listen, right?
I think I do that.
Do you?
Do you not?
But they see it's only 15 minutes, and they're like, oh, I wonder why the Comic Letter episode put out 15.
They're going to think it's a sorry, no episode this week, but for 15 minutes.
And it's not. We get 15 minutes in, and I get a phone call and go, fuck, sorry, guys.
Yeah. And I'll give it an extra 10, just being like, anyway, it's just me now, so let me tell you my thoughts.
So if you don't hear from me again for the next few months, thank you so much for listening. We love and value you. If you do, we'll see you next week.
And thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, then please subscribe to get notified of our future episodes as well. And if you're feeling particularly generous, then please leave a 5-star review on whatever podcast app you're using. If you'd like to get in contact with us, then send an email to comicletter@gmail.com. You can also watch videos by me on the Comic Stand YouTube page, which is linked in the description. Thank you, goodbye.